Dobra, lecimy dalej. Trzeba to pchnąć do przodu. Może chociaż dzisiaj zdjąć trupa z drzewa. Tu skończyliśmy wczoraj. Oj, pardon. Trąciłem ramię. Na totalnym wpierdzielu. Kim? Co chcesz mi
I'd
powiedzieć?
appreciate it if you didn't force us into situations where I may have to shoot random civilians, because that won't get us anywhere.
Oj tam.
I'm not even sure the one bullet my chamber holds would even prick that Hulk.
Ale walczyłem ze złymi, podłymi ideologiami, jestem bohaterem.
We are not here on some political quest. We are here to solve a crime. Don't make the situation any more volatile than it already is.
Jak inaczej przedostaniemy się przez bramę?
There must be some other way. Let's go see the yard again. It faces the other end of the harbor. We're done with Measurehead here.
Dobrze, próbowałem po prostu okazać swoją dominację.
We are not here on some political quest. We are here to solve a crime. Don't make the situation any more volatile than it already is.
Dobra, w porządku, więcej tego nie zrobił.
Let's think of something else.
No. You should do it again. It's the last thing he'll be expecting.
Oj, siła woli, podsuwa mi pomysły. Ale jak znowu dostanę w pierdziel, to będzie źle. Naprawdę źle. Może
I
zagadałem z
guess
tym
getting
typem.
past the man ain't that simple after all. So, what now?
Nie poszło mi za dobrze z miarogłowym. Mógłbyś mnie jakoś w tym wspomóc?
Sorry. Busy surveying the situation. I'm sure you'll figure something out. You guys have all sorts of gadgets these days. Wiretapping, telescopic batons, futuristic circuit bending to infiltrate harbor machinery. Maybe you could even knock that Kowalczyk crane over using some remote controls. Or calling in tactical air support. You guys have air support, right?
Odwróć się do Kima, mamy wsparcie powietrzne. Czemu nic nie mówiłeś?
Because we don't. We don't have air support or any of those other things.
I get it. Hush hush about the secret technology.
Something changes in his disposition. A merciful smile in the corner of his eye.
All right, I may have some advice for you on how to deal with Jean-Luc there, out of solidarity to the RCM. It's low in technology, however.
Tak?
First, don't fight him, obviously. Second, get him to share his theory by being subordinate. Admit your lack of expertise. Basically, grovel. That's how I do it. You're welcome.
Miło było porozmawiać, muszę lecieć. Nie chcę się przed nim pokazać jeszcze bardziej. Ale jeżeli zgadam z nim i naślę ich na siebie, może sobie wpuszczą nawzajem w pierdol. Czy jest taka opcja?
Nice aggression with the native. Don't let the chief fool you next time. You don't need to be that up in his face. Leave yourself space to move.
Not bad advice, actually. This might do the trick.
Let's talk about our right to work.
Potrzebuję, żebyś został moim czempionem w walce z Jean-Luciem. O tam.
No, I'm not a fighter. I'm a worker.
Co to jest strajk?
When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can't get their act together, decide to block honest work for other people. Beats me. They mumble nonsense about boardrooms and workers' rights, while we have the right to work!
Na 100% jest podstawiony. Nawet jest, że poprawia swój roboczy uniform, w którym najwyraźniej nie czuje się najlepiej. Czyli praktycznie nigdy go nie nosił.
When the man moves around, you perceive some serious abs underneath his tight-fitting shirt. This man is in shape. There's something odd in the way he carries himself. His set of clothing looks vaguely mismatched. The different pieces of the attire seem ill-fitting.
Niedopasowany. Co to dokładnie znaczy?
His shirt is far too small and an unpleasantly tight fit, while the overalls, held up by a belt, seem to fit a man with much more corpulence.
Masz nowe ubranie?
He ignores your question, choosing instead to turn to the emaciated workers, raising both fists in the air. The clothes are obviously not his.
Co właściwie chcecie tu osiągnąć?
We were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates.
I nie jesteście w stanie sforsować wejścia?
Main gate's locked. Would take heavy ordnance to bust it open. Could try to get in through the secretary's office. Door's locked. The guards blocking the way to the access panel. And I don't mean the scrawny mess punk either. I mean head measurer. Or whatever he is.
Zaraz, mierzący głowy?
Yeah. Giant on the bridge that kicked your ass. Head measurer. Won't let the workers by. The access panel is right behind him.
Jak groźny może być jeden koleś? Wydajesz się sprawnym gościem.
Bad. Standing on a narrow bridge, he's got a strategically advantageous position. And he's trained. I don't know how the Union has a trained killer up there. But that one's no joke. And my men are tired and hungry. They're workers, not fighters.
Próbowaliście przypuścić szturm? Znaczy się wszyscy naraz?
Why don't you go arrest them instead? I'm sure they've done plenty of criminal shit.
Siema
They
Metal,
have that
siema siema.
look.
Co tam, jak tam?
It would be better for the neighborhood if you went home, at least for now, if you can't get in anyway.
Jak tam przed weekendem? Jakie plany w ogóle na weekend? Prócz pracy bawił się w robotykę. Przeczytałem na początku erotykę i tak głupio było zapytać. Czyli co dokładnie, Metal, teraz porabiasz?
No! They will give up eventually. Or get drunk. Leave the button unguarded. Then we charge.
Dobra, pójdę już sobie. Okej. Zagadajmy z typem, rasistą z ciężarówki, na temat tego, jak podejść do tego typa. Nie, nic nie ma na ten temat. Fuck. Nie mam buteleczek, tak poza tym. Pusta jest, tak? Załóżmy żółte rękawiczki. Czekaj. Ferbinator, czyli ten przerobiony Ferbi na... No w sumie cholera wie co? Zanim do niego pójdę...
A colorful display of cigarettes
To
and
widziałem
alcohol
chyba
bottles
ten.
line the shop
Gdzie
wall,
wysyłałeś?
inviting you closer.
Czekaj, już zerknę na szybko. Czekaj. Ale jaki to ma cel właściwie?
Again, I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health.
Nie chciałem alkoholu. Chciałem leki akurat tym razem, nie tę półeczkę.
A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays, and blister packs.
Tak.
They all bear the Saint-Baptiste Pharmaceutics logo.
Poproszę na safed.
Here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something.
Jeszcze jeden na
Okay,
safed.
here. I hope Saint
Magnes.
Okay,
Jeszcze
here.
raz magnes.
Okay, here.
Okay, here. Podleczmy się na fulla, zanim pójdę się naparzać z typem. Mam dziwne wrażenie, że jest jedyna opcja. Żeby się tam dostać. Zróbmy quick save tym razem. Dobrze. Tym razem nie ma nieziemskiego, więc jest szansa, że mi się uda.
Your race descent has only worsened since I last saw you. You have really let yourself go.
Dobra, 58% szansy. Lecimy. Porażka.
It has happened again. The Titan has your fist locked in his hand, and he's twisting it.
Naprawdę zabrakło mi dosłownie jednego punktu.
Another fit of criminal rage. Who are you?
Nie
In
pamiętam,
your own
proszę.
words.
Your fist cracks in his hand like a ripe apple. Pain shoots up into your brain as he's twisting it more and more.
The words to the song have changed. Say, I am a violent drunk.
Ja jestem agresywnym pijakiem.
Good. Now go before you enter cardiac arrest.
Szkolenie do dronów. Po pierwsze, metal niezależnie od kursu. Jest kurs lotniczy któregoś stopnia podstawowy, ten najbardziej podstawowy. I tak nie możesz latać czymś takim jak przerobiony Furby, więc kurs ci nic nie da w tym przypadku. Naprawdę nic. Drony też mają wymaganie, żeby były dopuszczone do lotu. Poza tym do jakiejś wagi, nie pamiętam teraz dokładnie do jakiej, ogólnie drony nie wymagają uprawnień. Tylko nie możesz na terenie miast latać i w wyznaczonych obszarach, gdzie jest zakaz lotów. Ile mi brakuje punktów? 40, żebym mógł cokolwiek zrobić. Chciałbym zinternalizować gliniarza apokalipsy. To co? Run pod rasizm. W grze oczywiście. Nie chcę się zgadzać z jego
Please,
teorią.
stop doing this. You are making us look bad.
Your race descent has
Dobra, pomyślmy, co ja mogę zrobić. Czy mogę wziąć łom z samochodu Kima i mu po prostu użyć na nim łomu? $250 gram? Wydawało mi się, że więcej. No to wiesz, metal. Ogólnie i tak nie będziesz mógł latać Furbym i straszyć ludzi.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
Wyciągnij wysuwaną skrzynkę
The
narzędziową.
metallic drawer slides out from under the seat and clicks into place. The tools inside are neatly organized.
Take what you need, officer. It's going to be a long case. I'm not protective of my tools, like some men are.
He's clearly a little protective of his tools. But what can you do? Work is work.
Weź łom z czerwonym końcem.
The pry bar feels nice and cold in your hand, heavier than you'd think. Cold and heavy, like truth. You feel like you're reunited with truth once more. Useful for opening all sorts of doors and lids.
Weź nożyce do metalu z gumowanym
The
uchwytem.
handles are long and sleek. Snap, snap go the cutters in your hand.
Weź latarkę.
It's robust, weatherproof and well made. Police issue, blue. Lets you see things in the dark you would otherwise miss.
Dobra, schowajmy
The
skrzynkę.
pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. Preheater gauge casts a warm glow on the steering levers and the radio on its hook.
Stuknijmy jeszcze w miernik nagrzewacza paliwa.
As you tap on the gauge, the indicator pin jerks as if startled. It's in the large orange sector, indicating the engine is warm. Next to the gauge is a red switch labeled heat.
Now, that's enough fun with the foldable headlights. I know they are mesmerizing. They're also fragile. I'm not going to turn it on for you again.
Dobra, zamknijmy drzwi. Mamy trochę sprzętu. Może użyję go bojowo. Narzędzia. Czy mogę użyć łomu? Żeby zwalczać rasizm? Podejście numer 3.
Your race descent has only
Niestety,
worsened
nic
since
mi
I
to nie
last
dało.
saw you. You
Słownie
have
nic mi to nie
really
dało.
let yourself go.
Dobra, zgódźmy się z jego zaawansowaną teorią.
Go ahead. Don't be shy. Just ask for race secrets.
Chcę dowiedzieć się więcej o twojej teorii rasy, żebyśmy mogli się zaprzyjaźnić.
Do not be naive. I know the answer to the great race enigma. Why would I share it with a deformed infant? You do not have the devotion for servitude.
Czyli obie opcje się nie udały. No nic. Czy możesz zapalić chociaż papieroska? Nawet tego człowiek nie może. Nic człowiekowi nie wolno. Wow! Siema, mniusie. Ta latarka działa tak, że świeci tam, gdzie skieruje kursor. Całkiem spoko pomysł. Myślałem, że będzie sztywno do bohatera przywiązana. Zdejmijmy na razie, nie świećmy ludziom. A jakby tak mu poświecić po oczach? Dobra, ale muszę coś zrobić. Muszę cokolwiek zrobić. Na przykład napić się alkoholu. Znaleźć metalową kulę, żeby zastąpić bólę. Co tam u mniusie? Co tam dobrego?
Right to work!
Hej, twardzielu, mam jeszcze kilka pytań.
Things are busy enough. You going to waste less of my time?
Może?
The hulking man oozes stark skepticism.
Dobra, pójdę już. Czyli jednak nic tutaj nie odkryliśmy. Weekend, nie? Już niedługo święta. Przejdźmy się dookoła miasta, może cokolwiek znajdę. Załóżmy latarkę. Tak. Ciemno jest, użyjmy latarki. No, akurat u mnie nie. Słońce było wczoraj, ale było dość chłodno. Metal, co znowu? Kolejny raz jesteś chory? Niedobrze. Bardzo niedobrze. Ale może do świąt ci przejdzie. A to akurat bardzo niedobrze. Czy mogę tędy przejść? Mogę, ale co mi to daje? Oprócz tego, że jest skrót i nie musiałem biec naokoło. Czy w latarce wyczerpują się baterie? Czekajcie chwilę. Okej, jakieś roboty za oknem. Drogowe. Nie, że mi się mechy napierdalają za oknem. Tutaj nie przejdę, bo zapora jest zamknięta. A tak ogólnie metal, to gdzie masz ran? Co sobie dziecko zrobiłeś? Czy mogę pogrzebać w tym śmietniku? Ktoś ten, nie? Żeby nowy człowiek w śmietniku nie mógł pogrzebać. Co za życie. Siema nieziemski. Twoje zdrowie. Jak tam nieziemski? Jak ci dzień mija? Z tym już gadałem, tu nie przejdę, nie mogę nic zrobić, bo wszystkie rzuty sfailowałem. Coś tu miałem, tam? Kratę ściekową bramę do rzeki Brudu.
There are clothes inside. Cheap second-hand clothes, smelling of strangers' body odors.
Don't be shy. These are premium class clothes. Good quality fabrics, best
Good
retro
quality,
design.
good
Save
quality.
the economy with your style, officer.
Przejrzyj zawartość pudełka.
You find your hands deep in tattered and faded garments made from weird polyester blends that make your body itch and sweat in all the wrong places.
Economical, but also trendy. Look first hand, buy second hand. Keep the economy moving.
Dobra, spróbujmy znaleźć coś wartego uwagi w tej stercie szmat.
Something cold grazes your hand. Synthetic and sleek. A windbreaker. Surf, it says, but also wind, summer, 100% waterproof, and sport. All in different typefaces.
Czyli jeszcze katar nieziemski. A nie myślałeś jakiś, nie wiem, spray sterydowy do nosa? Albo coś w tym stylu ogarnąć?
This jacket is the apex of human evolution, the moment at which man became weatherproof. Practical, and yet it may deaden your senses to the world around you, possibly because of the awful typeface.
Good choice, officer. Mega sporty. And it's only 450 for you, sir.
Dobra, i tak mi nie stać. Musiałem kupić leki. Na okulary też mi chyba nie stać, nie?
The shine on these sunglasses lasts a lifetime, officer. 100% guaranteed.
Na razie odejdź. Oszczędzamy, buteleczki się skończyły.
The worn and beaten wooden...
You can revisit.
To już byłem. Co ja mogę? Niewiele mogę. Naprawdę niewiele mogę. Mogę zdjąć latarkę, bo mnie trochę wyprowadza z równowagi. Tutaj nic więcej nie ma. Chodźmy jeszcze w tą stronę. Tu mnie nie było. Wiesz, no nieziemski nie mówi o tym sztywcie. Co to jest? Samotny kormoran wpatruje się w morze, obojętny na twoje przybycie. Jaka zupka metal? Coś dobrego? A to jest wejście tutaj, do tej złej kobiety. Podratujmy sobie morale. Buraczkowa. Barszczyk znaczy.
Hey, what's that noise down there?
Tak, kun, zajeb mu. A może by tak nie.
The spread pattern of these bullet holes makes your chest ache. Your breath grows heavier.
Skąd tyle tych śladów po kulach? Cały czas się na jakiś natykam.
Remnants from the revolution. These are over half a century old.
A więc nie doszło tu do żadnej zbrodni.
Perhaps a crime of a sort ages ago. But no, these do not warrant an investigation.
Nie no, metal, ale barszcz to... Ogólne określenie. Masz barszcz czerwony, biały, ukraiński. Ale pierwszy raz spotykam się, żeby ktoś powiedział, że buraczkowa. Tak naprawdę zupa buraczkowa. No dobra, ale możesz mi powiedzieć o rewolucji?
Not much. I don't have a fresh perspective on it. Should we go?
Idziemy. Ale o ile barszczyk to tak sobie, to takie buraczki zasmażane do kotlecika, to bym zjadł. Co my tu mamy? Pomarańczowa żulerska czapka. Przymierzmy ją od razu. O mój Boże. To jest ten styl. To jest ta elegancja. Mieloni buraczki. No metal, to widzę, powodzi się. Jeszcze mogę jakoś wejść na górę. Zajrzyjmy tu, czy mogę wejść w ogóle, czy jest zamknięte.
There must be another way into the building.
Dlaczego było takie dziwne echo? Czekajcie.
Can't get involved in this.
To było dziwne. Akurat w to metal nie wierzę. To jest coś zamalowane.
This is a wall on the side of an apartment building.
Konceptualizację mam za niską, ale pamiętam, że koszele dawał mi bonus do konceptualizacji. Załóżmy jeszcze kapelusz. A to akurat encyklopedia.
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to
Nadal
see here.
3%. Niemożliwy jest ten rzut. Ale spróbujmy. Czemu przyglądam się u tej ścianie?
You have no clue.
Czego ja się
It's
spodziewałem?
just a wall. So many walls all over Martinez, weather-worn, cracked, their paint peeling.
Dobra, wróćmy do naszej super żulerskiej czapki. Chociaż kapelusz mi się podoba. Sok z kiszonych buraków. Kiedyś otworzyli w Lublinie kebaba, taki kraftowy kebab, się reklamowali, że to jest właśnie taki zajebisty kraftowy kebab, nie? O ile sam kebab, nazwijmy rzecz po imieniu, był przechujowy, to mieli jedną zajebistą rzecz, kiszone buraczki do kebaba. I one tak oddawały, że aż się chciało takie buraczki ogarnąć i zrobić z nimi coś dobrego. Na przykład burgera. Zjadłbym coś dobrego. Załóżmy naszą żonobijkę. Ach tak, teraz wyglądamy. W sam raz wygląd policjanta. Czy kończyła mi się konceptualizacja zjadłej samokrytyki? Nie. Ale okej, lecimy dalej. What the fuck? Dlaczego słowo kebab jest... Przecież dopiero co dodałem je do dozwolonych. Nie wiedziałem, że jest to zakazane słowo na Twitchu. Latem byłem 2 tygodnie w górach. Zamówiłem sobie kebaba. Miałem tam frytki, surówki, buraki też. Ale było coś, co myślałem, że to ogórek pokrojony. Nie no, mi to zazdroszczę. Te buraczki kiszone są naprawdę zajebiste do kepsa. Ogólnie do mięska pasują. Pozbierajmy trochę butelek. Musimy się odbić od dna, pogrzebmy po śmietnikach. Ten jest zamknięty. Może wykorzystajmy łom. Przekonywanie półmroczność. Przymierzmy go. O, no come on. Żul marynarz. Papryczki jalapeno. To akurat ciężko pomylić z ogórkiem. Ale są też spoko. Ogólnie zasada jest prosta, że dla balansu powinno być coś octowego, ale nie za dużo. Zamowanie tylko dla mieszkańców.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good evening, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
Co nas zdradziło?
Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
What is implied here? That you're a drunk?
Nie jestem pijakiem, lecz funkcjonariuszem policji.
Of course you're not. It was only a joke.
Ściśnie jej dłoń.
I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual.
Czyli
But
Metal
I can
mówisz,
assure
nie
you
za bardzo
of his
lubisz ostre
ultimate
żarcie.
competency.
Nie lubisz jak pali 2 razy.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. The lieutenant is hatching some scheme.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
Jest pani na łodzi.
Why, yes I am.
Ma jakąś nazwę?
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name. A breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below, the sleek, fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness. You're reminded of something. Or someone.
Czadowo, ale pani łódź naprawdę potrzebuje nazwy.
Okay. How about Cordelati 19? Why? Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelati, and its hull is 19 paces long.
Więc może ją nazwać Dolores?
Why Dolores?
Bo z jakiegoś powodu podoba mi się to słowo.
Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion.
No dobrze, ale jaki to rodzaj łodzi?
It's a pleasure craft, a 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business.
Lubi ją pani?
My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Niewielu ludzi przesiaduje na łodziach, co?
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
Zaraz jesteśmy na archipelagu?
Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou.
Jednak nie widziałem, żeby ktokolwiek inny żeglował tu taką łodzią.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps.
Ma pani uprawnienie do prowadzenia tej łodzi?
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Qualified pleasure craft operator. So charming. Where's the damn license?
Mogę zobaczyć pani patent?
I just renewed its safety inspection last month, officers. It is completely seaworthy. In fact, it's taken part in not one, but two insulindic regattas. Even finished once.
A co się stało za drugim razem?
The other time, I would have finished the race were it not for an urgent work matter, much like the one I'm on now.
Muszę jednak zobaczyć pani patent.
Actually, you don't.
Co masz na myśli?
The Wayfarer Act specifically denies the RCM the authority to demand anyone's operator license. It's a little-known fact among us law officials.
Chwila, jak mało znany jest ten fakt.
I was just being polite. Even school children know the Wayfarer Act.
Czyli nie możemy zatrzymywać przypadkowych cywilów i żądać od nich dokumentów? Słabizna.
Unless it's their passport. No. Do you want to ask for the lady's passport?
You need to save face if you want her respect. Demand that passport.
Tak, będę potrzebował pani paszportu.
Of course.
Spójrz na jej paszport.
The woman is silent, smiling while the waves lap against the hull. In your hand, under the plastic, a light blue passport saying Republic of Vespa. The coat of arms has a lion and an ostrich. Seatant.
Spójrz na stronę ze zdjęciem.
The woman, born in the year 3 in the commune of Revachol, smiles at you. Face adorned with frown lines and crow's feet. The photo is recent. The name reads Rejoice Leighton Messier.
Ma pani na imię Rejoice?
Yes. But please don't call me that.
Dlaczego?
Joyce is much more efficient.
She doesn't like it. Probably a bad memory. Mean girls at school or some ancient lover.
Jest pani z Vesperu?
My husband is. I have dual citizenship. A Vespertine is handier when traveling.
No dobra, wygląda na to, że wszystko jest w porządku.
She nods and returns the plastic bag to her coat.
Chyba już wiem co i jak z tą łodzią.
Good.
Proszę mi opowiedzieć o Wild Pines. Czym się zajmujecie?
What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
W takim razie czym się zajmują?
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
She enjoys talking about the company. It would not hurt to inquire more.
Ile pieniędzy ma Wild Pines?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
A billion?
Orety.
20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate employs 72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interest payments. A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility.
Skąd Wild Pines bierze te wszystkie miliardy?
They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Easterlers 250 years ago, when Pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavour. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
Czego taki potężny system szuka w miejscu takim jak to?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
To nie wy go transportujecie, tylko robotnicy, bez nich firma jest niczym. Nie, bo druga opcja znowu mnie pchnie w komunizm. Dlatego nie chcę. 8% całego ładunku świata to rzeczywiście nie lada przedsięwzięcie.
There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
Czekajcie, mamy nową myśl. Bo skończyliśmy zjadł samokrytykę. Hmm. 15 doszczep. Ciekawe. Czyli wybili cały szczep Indian?
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Co może mi pani powiedzieć o tym strajku?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Chwila, jeśli chcę posłuchać o tych tajemnicach handlowych.
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Elements that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
Jak mam ją w takim razie unieważnić?
Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the Coalition. Unfortunately for you, the Coalition also leases you the right to police West Revachol. But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
Jaką dokładnie gra pani w tym rolę?
I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Och, mówi pani o miarogłowym?
Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead.
Jak przebiegały rozmowy, zanim doszło do linczu?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Co się stało z tym Gaumontem?
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
No bardzo, to nie fajnie, bardzo.
Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
Jakie są ich żądania?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Zdaje się, że nie mają zielonego pojęcia o interesach.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board.
Większość z nich pewnie nie wie nawet, co to znaczy.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
Muszę przyznać, że to dość zabawne.
They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution.
Co zamierza pani zrobić?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
Mi strajki u bram, to wy ich tam posłaliście?
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least.
Proszę powiedzieć mi o tym szefie związku, panu Clare.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Naprawdę?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
Jest aż taki straszny?
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Zaraz, ich jest dwóch?
Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over.
Ale sobie wymyślili.
It's how they circumvent the
Bracia
term limits,
bliźniacy.
you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
A co pani sądzi o samym związku, pomijając braci Clare?
The Debarders Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Debarders are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Debarders Union is...
Coś w rodzaju socjalistycznej mafii?
Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers.
Dajcie mi chwilę, zaraz wracam dosłownie. Tylko skaczę do kibla. Dobra, jestem. Jeszcze przy okazji sobie cholinek sobie garnąłem na gardło. Jeszcze jedno. Powiedziała pani, że coś się wydarzyło podczas wyborów.
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
Upiorna.
Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
To wszystko, czego potrzebuję, zmieńmy temat.
Of course. How else can I help?
Co może mi pani powiedzieć o tym linczu?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
Pamięta pani, jak mój partner wspomniał, że mam od niedawna nietypowy problem natury medycznej? Moja odznaka ma z tym związek.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
Przyznać się? To możliwe, straciłem przytomność po całej nocy picia i straciłem wszelką pamięć o świecie i własnym życiu.
Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Czyli muszę znaleźć odznakę?
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
Aha. Dobra, 92%. Jeżeli to się nie uda...
She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her. Insinuate.
Z pewnością jest jakiś inny sposób, żebyśmy mogli udowodnić naszą policyjność.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Na przykład?
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge, though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Przepraszam panią na chwilkę.
Wow, you work hard.
Naprawdę?
Oh, yes. You hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide.
Jak właściwie wykonuje ciężką pracę?
Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic, sand, and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride.
Tak, kurwa, cisnę aż do śmierci, suko.
That's just what it's like. Life and death. But you got gills on your side, baby. Got those black papers with the faces of the innocents on them. You bring in the Franco-Negros and the Solas. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop and a sprinter and a money printer.
On jeszcze sprzedaje różne rzeczy temu całemu podejrzanemu rojowi.
Yeah, you're in the sales business. Shake 'em for shit and then pawn it off. Law officer style.
Trochę sosu zarobiłem, fakt.
Sure, Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself in the mouth? But you still hustle 24/7, ride or die. Now, ask yourself, are you rich?
Tak, całkiem bogaty.
Get out of here. You're a pauper. You work harder than anyone. Almost rode yourself to the grave, and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that?
Nie wiem, czemu jestem taki biedny.
Because of the taxes. G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, so much as sneeze.
Serio? Za każdym razem jak kichnę?
Every time you wipe your ass, they got their direct and their indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax, alimony, one tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus there's the stuff people in other countries pay for. That makes them ask for more money from you. Here, total tax duties add up to 98% of all your money.
Jesteś pewny? To chyba bardzo dużo.
What are you not sure about? They're milking your nipples till they bleed. Can't you see? Aren't you sick and tired of having bloody nipples?
Krwawiące sutki to faktycznie kijowa rzecz, ale co mi pomoże deregulacja?
It's all about the tax issue, hustler. No other problem in the world is as pressing as top marginal tax rates. And don't you fucking forget it. Rigorous self-critique. Here it is. Hard facts from the man you are. You once jerked off in the locker room and were caught. You held a young woman by the arm and kept her in your apartment for 20 minutes against her will. That's right. These are not flights of fancy. These are real deeds, Harry, emerging from the darkness of your past. You tried shooting a fleeing suspect in the foot, but hit him in the pelvis, crippling him for life. And, above all, you let life defeat you. All the gifts your parents gave you, all the love and patience of your friends, you drowned in a neurotoxin. You let misery win, and it will keep on winning till you die, or overcome it.
Jak mogę odblokować nowe miejsca? Dobra, Kim, co ty mi powiesz?
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year.
Nie zapłaciłem jeszcze kierownikowi baru za szkody,
You should take care of that, then.
ale nie mam pieniędzy.
Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the streets. We'll figure something out.
Though he finds this situation frustrating, he is doing his best to not make you feel any worse than you already do.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, detective.
A myślałeś, że jak pójdzie?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman.
Naprawdę? Bo myślałem, że idzie mi świetnie.
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
Przepraszam, że postawiłem nas w tej sytuacji, zajmę się tym.
I'm sure you will, detective.
Więc co proponujesz, żebyśmy nie zajmowali się tym handlem narkotykami?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
Moglibyśmy po prostu, no wiesz, znaleźć moją odznakę.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters. You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
Dobra, wróćmy więc do niej.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Wie pani coś na temat tych tatuaży?
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question.
Dobra, ale skąd ona wie, że to jest ten mężczyzna? Czyli wie pani coś o tych tatuażach?
Better not tie the fourth day to the bat's day on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
Pani jest chyba mądra, potrzebuję kogoś, kto by mi objaśnił tę rzeczywistość, w której istniejemy.
This reality.
To dotyczy tego problemu natury medycznej. Mam kłopot z przypomnieniem sobie choćby i najbardziej podstawowych elementów rzeczywistości.
Ah, yes. The episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy now that I think of it.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, you're in. Begin with the first one. You'll appear worldly.
W jakich czasach żyjemy?
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. A thousandth of a second too late.
Za późno na co?
For the big time.
Co to jest wielki czas?
The revolution.
A czym jest ta rewolucja, o której ciągle słyszę?
It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
Kto skończył z kulą w głowie?
Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head.
She's not gloating. It's a relieved celebration.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
Czy komuniści i anarchiści odpowiedzieli ogniem?
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
To tragedia.
Yes. The Red Deluge. The Insulindian Deluge, they call it.
Ktoś jeszcze dostał kulkę w łeb po przeciwnej stronie?
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
Mądry król.
Yes. King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down? Anyway, Gil got out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
Kto otrzymał prawo do minerałów?
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
Dobrze mówiąc, liberałowie ma pani na myśli?
Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. the beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
Jak liberałowie to wszystko wygrali?
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
Skoro wszyscy zostali zastrzeleni, to komu można było się właściwie poddać?
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
Zaraz mówiła pani przed chwilą, że liberałowie już wszystko sobie wzięli.
The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws and the people.
Kim jest koalicja?
The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje and Sur-le-Clay. The armed centre of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
Moralistycznie?
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way
Realistyczne.
it is. They believe in mineral rights and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
The rulers of Revachol, and also the world. These guys are strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
Jeśli polega to na wybieraniu zawsze tej opcji, która nie zmusza do zaangażowania się w cokolwiek, to jasne, że nim jestem. Nie jestem też.
An almost endearingly moralist standpoint. It must be hard to take a moderate approach to head shooting in your line of work.
Kiedy miała miejsce ta awantura?
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved.
Kto to rozpoczął?
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government.
I czego dokonał ten carat?
It made people overthrow their governments.
Niemożliwe.
Indeed. Zarat is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
Gdzie się potem rozprzestrzeniło?
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
Co przyszło potem?
Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
Nasze życia znacząco się różnią.
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think.
Czym jest strefa kontroli?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the coalition of nations, and you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune.
Co się stało z resztą świata?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication. Telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
Co dobrego na obiad nieziemski? Nic trudnego, dzisiaj skromnie. Ziemniaki i jajko sadzone pewnie. Chociaż szczerze mówiąc nie wiem, czy plan się nie zmieni, bo najwyraźniej moja dziewczyna najadła się w pracy, bo mieli dzisiaj spotkanie wielkanocne. Także nie wiem, kanapkę sobie zrobię i jak coś. Od jak dawna dokładnie tak się mają sprawy?
43 years. Hard to fathom, I know.
Co przez cały ten czas robiliśmy?
The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell.
A później?
The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
I zmierzało?
No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are.
Czy mi wystarczy nieziemski? Nie wiem. Ogólnie też nie robiłem jakichś wielkich zakupów, bo wyjeżdżam wieczorem na weekend. O ile uda się przebić przez protesty. Ale no... nie wiem, jajko sobie usmażę albo jajecznicę. Jeszcze się okaże.
Welcome to reality, baby.
70 expa.
From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the zone of control. You can see it in her eyes. Days slipping away.
Naleśniki? To też jakaś opcja. Okej, dobra, mamy jednego questa zrobionego. Mam też awans. Czy skoro mam awans, to oznacza, że... Nie mam awansu, dopóki nie skończę rozmowy, tak? Tak. I teraz... Co chcę zboostować? Myślę, że ciało jako narzędzie. Myślę, że spróbujemy jeszcze raz dać w pierdziel kolesiowi na mostku. Jesteśmy boscy, jesteśmy mięśnieni. Ze wszystkim damy radę. A z czym byś chciał nieziemski naleśniki? Nie wydaje się pani zachwycona.
I've no right to be dissatisfied. This shirt is Barbara Muscova, this raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. No, it's just... We could have had so much more. Every one of us. If only we'd played it right.
Co pani zrobiłoby inaczej?
Good question. What would you have done differently?
No, her first.
Pytałem panią, kim pani w tym wszystkim jest?
And I asked you, past-less detective of the Citizens Militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given to you?
Znalazłbym jakieś medyczne rozwiązanie. Brzmi, jakby cały ten carat doprowadził ludzi do szaleństwa.
A cold creeps up your spine, reaching its tendrils up your neck, toward the back of your head.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion, a complex folding protein, unlife, with a technology 50 years ago?
Odrobiną higieny, skromną opieką społeczną i może jakimś niewielkim programem badawczym?
The wind stops, and for a moment, there's silence. The charge dissipates into the dark water. All is quiet on the Martinez inlet.
There is peace in the heart.
Good hygiene. Really. A very moderate solution to an extreme problem. It's those sort of half measures that doomed the authorities in Grad. When they failed to step up, Marzov and his party stepped in. In this particular case, maybe a more robust state response might have been appropriate.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
There is curiosity there that goes unnoticed. Kim takes a step back.
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir.
Understandable.
Dość już o tych czasach.
They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Co to jest ta osterencefalopatia?
It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
A nieziemski z serem to robisz zwykły ser, czy dodajesz do tego cukru? Robisz taki twarożek z jajkiem do naleśnika?
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply
Jak
in the
serniczka?
condition of this doomed detective.
Co powoduje encefalopatię?
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
To alkohol zdecydowanie.
She nods slowly. What this boils down to is this reality thing is stupid. Blow
Ale tak
this
nieziemski...
joint, grab a bottle and drain that shit right down your throat.
To potwierdzenie odnosiło się do czego? Do czystego sera, czy że robisz z cukrem, czy jakoś? Bo samo tak nie jest odpowiedzią na złożone pytania.
Yes, and perform autoerotic asphyxiation on yourself with your funny necktie out in the open somewhere.
Nie będę bawił się w autoerotyczne podduszanie swoim krawatem, zwłaszcza na widoku. Bez widoku też nie.
This reality thing is the only game in town. It's probably in your interest not to blow it.
Zdujesz w swojej głowie to urządzę i wracaj do rzeczywistości.
She stares at you, head tilted to the side, with a slightly concerned look on her face.
Chcę wiedzieć, czym jest pani.
She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
Czym pani jest?
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants.
Czyli z cukrem nieziemski. Nie, no spoko. Nie ma w tym nic złego. Tylko każdy ma swój styl. Niektórzy lubią naleśniki takie bardziej wytrawne, nie? A niektórzy na słodko.
I am an ultra.
Dios mio, liberał.
Yes. I am the nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. I pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. My kind surrendered the nation to financial colonists. I can see you thought we'd gone extinct. After all, no sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. You're a centrist at heart. A real moralist, no? Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, do you find me frightening?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her, but only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes.
Serio? Wybaczam pani, ale tylko dlatego, że jest pani urocza.
A devil, who being of great charm and guile sneaketh into the homes of the godly.
Beneath her waterproof raincoat and silk shirt is a body imbibed in numb 12 perfume. You are suddenly and intimately aware of it.
Diablica. Chce się pani rżnąć? Nie no, diablica.
I'm afraid you'll find that every woman is a devil woman, detective. There are only aesthetic differences between one and the other. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed.
A pani zrobiłaby coś inaczej?
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery.
While a gentle wind sweeps the streets in the rebuilt east, light drizzle washing it clean, lights go up and motor carriages circulate the tracks.
I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake, then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isla down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes, an oil fire on the ocean.
Mądry jest pani człowiek.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
Jest pani patriotką?
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
Seditious talk, man.
Ma pani córki?
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
Gdzie jesteśmy?
We're in Martinez.
Ciekawa rozmowa ogólnie.
Baby.
To nic, że od pół godziny po prostu rozmawiamy z kobietą na łodzi w bączku.
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
Osobiście jestem też disco z Kamiliną.
Aren't we all?
A czym jest Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
Proszę opowiedzieć mi więcej o Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
Wspomniała pani o morzu. Co to za morze?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
Jesteśmy na brzegu oceanu?
Yes. We are on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water. The Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
Jak się nazywa ta wyspa?
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her.
Dobrze, to jest Martinez, a Revachol?
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city.
Jakim miastem jest Revachol?
The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
Co czyni Revachol wspaniałym?
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
Dobrze, kto zbudował to miasto?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Semenine and Ile-Marat, depending on your creed.
Kiedy zbudowano Revachol?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
A czemu zwieńcz historię?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
Dlaczego tutaj?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
A więc jesteśmy nieistotną częścią istotnego miejsca.
I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Spójrz w morze.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
Gdzie my jesteśmy?
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
Odrealnienie. Ciekawe. To na pewno bym zinternalizował. Co to jest?
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
Proszę zgadywać dalej.
Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. A symbol of hubris and decay. Half submerged in some salty sea.
Twierdzi pani, że jestem ruiną?
Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games.
Chodzi mi o to, co to za miejsce.
Ah. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two.
Co to jest Rue de Saint-Ghislain?
A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course.
Kto tam mieszkał?
Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off.
Splat, splat.
Cindy Czacha.
Wonderful.
Co to? Wskaż Cindy Czachę.
The girl in the old lady rags.
Tak.
Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infrakultury?
Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture.
Dobrze, teraz proszę wyjaśnić to samo jeszcze raz, ale jak dziecku.
Young people who dye their hair funny colors and wear old people's clothes are stupid, and their little rebellion is self-defeating. All right, what next?
Spróbujmy. 28% szans.
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality.
To się na pewno nie uda, musiałbym rzucić 12 naturalną, ale okej, spróbujmy.
A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly. That's all. It's on the tip of your tongue, a doubt of sorts already in your head, but it's not fully formed yet. You have to wait and return to this later, once the jamais vu thought is complete.
Czyli muszę jamais vu zinternalizować. Tylko jak? Jak mogę odblokować kolejnego slota? To na razie wszystko.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
Pani jest chyba bogata, mógłbym dostać trochę pieniędzy.
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy, is it?
Czyli nie możemy.
What is this? An athletic challenge? Scream it from the top of your lungs immediately. Show that asshole.
Pani jest chyba bogaty, mógłbym dostać trochę pieniędzy.
You're thinking it, but your lips are not moving.
Co? Czemu nie?
Look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes, bub.
Jakie piękne włosy.
A well-kempt, yet tastefully short bob of dark hair. Despite the first hints of grey, she's elected to keep it au natural, shaped into a permanent wave, late 40s style, while dull orange pearls hang from her earlobes, red from the cold. Her light green eyes scan you, full of knowledge and worry, wealth and all its possibilities.
Tak, i?
Now look at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes. A scythe of booze precedes you. Your hair sticks to your forehead, and your underwear feels uncomfortable. You're poor, poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too...
Zawstydzony?
Yes. You're too ashamed to ask this person for money. Too scared to belittle yourself in her eyes. Those half-precious stones of Odinel. Oh God, the lieutenant is here too. Do not dishonor the force.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
Czy ja chcę tego spróbować? Trochę wstyd. Dobrze, proszę mi powiedzieć o tym rzekomym przemycie narkotyków.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isla into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
Shit, yeah, baby. It's the party pipeline. Why
Pokazowy
would you want to
rurocze.
shut that down?
Żebyśmy mieli jasne, materiał przybywają z Samary do Revacholu przez terminal.
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, man. Do you mean to say the union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut.
Czym próbuje pani zamknąć imprezowy rurociąg?
I assure you, officer, these are not the sort of parties you'd want to attend.
She has no idea what kind of parties you've been to.
Aha, i chce pani, żebyśmy to sprawdzili.
Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrart and the Dockworkers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
Co ma pani na myśli?
The lorries. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they are vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
You'll be indebted to her, in a way, but one step ahead of the union in another.
To nie przypadek, że te ciężarówki tak utknęły, prawda?
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the trade committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
Czemu wcześniej nie zgłosiliście się do moru?
We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCN. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
Jaki ma pani dowód, że związek bierze w tym udział?
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves.
Więc sądzi pani, że strajk jest finansowany z pieniędzy za składniki narkotyków?
Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, though she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
No dobrze, podjąłem decyzję co do tej operacji przemytniczej.
Yes?
Zajmiemy się tu sprawą, przesłuchamy kierowców, zobaczymy, czy to coś da.
Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something.
Podejrzewam rasistę.
It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
Dziękuję, to na razie wszystko.
Of course, Detective. Take care.
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez.
A to ja, pan rozsądny, ktoś tu musi dbać o normalność.
The air suddenly feels calmer, more transparent in a strangely tender way. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin. But something tells you it's time to become a citizen of the Kingdom of Conscience.
Przede wszystkim, gdzie jest to Królestwo Sumienia?
It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times.
Jak doprowadzić do wystąpienia tych okoliczności?
Incrementally. Yawn. You'd get there faster with a little speed. History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. Too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment.
Czyli ewolucja. Ale co ze wszystkim, co w tej chwili jest niewłaściwe?
Tisk tisk. Just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the kingdom of conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working. What benevolence. What a fucking joke.
Zaraz, w tym Królestwie Sumienia chodzi o to, żeby naprawdę coś robić, czy po prostu zachowanie status quo?
Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed?
Tak.
There you have it. Sometimes holding the line is progress.
Dobrze, ale jaki właściwie jest to Królestwo Sumienia?
The kingdom is difficult to comprehend and even more difficult to describe, partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The kingdom of conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual.
Ciekawe. Brzmi to niesamowicie. Ruszajmy tam natychmiast.
Slow down, Mr. Reasonable. Did you miss the part about compromising and taking things slow?
Och, no dobrze. W takim razie dotrzyjmy tam kiedyś.
That's right. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, a long time from now, we are all going to be so much happier.
Królestwo Sumienia. Cierpienie jest potężne, lecz demokracja subtelna. Powoli zaczynasz dostrzegać zmianę w pogodzie. Kiedy śnieży padające na twoje zatroskane czoło płatki są bardziej miękkie. Kiedy pada, krople deszczu są cieplejsze. Do regionu administracyjnego przybywa demokracja. Odżywają na nowo ideały deloriańskiego humanizmu. Czyż mogłoby być inaczej? W końcu to ideały koalicji moralistycznej międzynarodówki. Ich barwa to niebieski sygnałowy. I są nie tylko dobrzy, ale też potężni. Jak będzie wyglądał świat, kiedy ich misterne plany się spełnią? Ciekawe. Wrócę jednak do marynareczki. I kapelusza. Nawet koszulę założył. Dobra. Więc muszę zbadać sprawę narkotyków. Muszę pójść na taras z Kimem, pogadać z Gartem. Ogólnie muszę zdobyć mapę, bo miejscami tracę orientację. Muszę też tu wrócić i zbadać dalej, co się znajduje w dalszej części tego miejsca. Zacznijmy od rozmowy z Gartem. Bo będę musiał gdzieś spać.
Can I help you?
Oddaję klucz do pojemnika na śmieci.
Thanks. I hope you found what you were looking for.
Znalazł ubranie ofiary.
How strange. I certainly didn't put them there.
Kto jeszcze ma klucz do pojemnika? Nie. A ktoś z personelu mógł je tam wrzucić?
Sylvie had the keys before I got here, and I can vouch for her. I can vouch for all my stuff. None of us would tamper with the crime scene.
Kto jeszcze ma klucz do pojemnika na śmieci?
The trash collection service, CS Municipal. I don't see why they would put anything in the trash, though.
Ah, the elusive CS Municipal. I doubt we'll be able to track down who was sent here last and when. This will have to be one of those little threats that solves itself down the road.
On Clinton Street, near the Boogie Street Diamond, a small truck rattles down an alleyway. It stops by a rusted trash container. Two men, their faces rough and swollen, jump out. They look at the container despondently. CSM is written on their backs.
Thank you anyway.
Może nie pamiętasz, jak to robiłeś? Może lunatykowałeś albo byłeś w stanie fugi dysocjacyjnej?
I think fugue states are more your forte, officer.
Dzięki, porozmawiajmy o czym innym.
Yes.
Co do tych pieniędzy, które jestem winien,
Yes. Have you got it?
zastanawiam się, czy moglibyśmy osiągnąć jakieś porozumienie co do dzisiejszego noclegu.
Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
Na zewnątrz jest zimno, zmarznę na śmierć, bo przegrałem w głupiej grze w pieniądze.
Game? Everything is just a game to you, isn't it?
Chwila, wciąż mam swój klucz, wiesz?
Good luck trying to use it. All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a master key before your guest key will open the lock.
Ta rozmowa zmierza donikąd, prawda?
Not until you bring me the money.
Okay, I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
I really didn't want to resort to this. The man is thinking.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
Do widzenia. Kim.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the suspect transport enclosure.
Transport enclosure? Regular people just call it the cage.
Zajrzyj do końca transportowego dla podejrzanych.
The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark.
I confiscated these 4 a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal.
Ale co to w ogóle jest?
There are spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them, it's just for vanity.
A vanity he wouldn't mind.
Jak to skonfiskowałeś?
A couple of weeks ago, I stopped a young man for going slower than the speed of traffic. Turns out he was some coalition official's son and high.
Więc zabrałeś mu kołpaki?
I took them and arrested him for driving under the influence.
Czy to nie jest korupcja?
I don't know. Is it? I was going to take them into evidence, but they weren't necessary for conviction. He never asked for them back.
Chciałeś zamontować te kołpaki w swojej maszynie?
No, that would be silly. I don't know why I kept them. It doesn't matter. I couldn't put them on this MC anyway. A cup with spinners. That would be outrageous.
Tak, skandalicznie czadowe.
He flashes a smile, barely visible in the dark.
Przykro mi, że musisz je przeze mnie sprzedać.
As I said, they are useless anyway. I should have remembered I have these earlier.
But thank you.
Trochę mi go szkoda z drugiej strony. Dziękuję, twoja pomoc wiele znaczy.
The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners.
Jeszcze mi zostanie. Kim twoje poświęcenie będzie zapamiętane. Ciekawe, czy jeszcze otwarte jest po północy. Ale to miasto chyba nigdy nie śpi.
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you
Chciałbym
with
coś
anything.
sprzedać.
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing light of his pawn shop.
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a mesk banger? No matter. I'll give you 200 real.
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course. I meant no offense. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful doing business with you.
Thank you. Here's the 100 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
Czyli połowę sobie wziął.
The windfall is a small consolation.
Anything else you're thinking of selling?
Chciałbym sprzedać moje ubranie.
I'm not purchasing any more clothing at the moment. And especially that tie. It swallows photons around it. I have no need for necrotic objects.
Your mother is a necrotic object! I'm fun! Look at me sparkle in the light of the projector!
Nie mam chwilowo nic na
Another
sprzedaż.
time, perhaps.
Mam na razie inne sprawy do załatwienia. Dobra. Chodźmy zapłacić za szkody. I będziemy kończyć ten dzień. Porozmawiamy z Kimem.
Can I help you?
Co do tych pieniędzy, które jestem winien.
Yes, have you got it?
Mam dla ciebie pieniądze. Albo nie, możesz przypomnieć, ile jestem winien?
A lot. For the room and broken window, 100 real.
No dobra. Mam dla ciebie pieniądze.
Well,
Oto one, przepraszam za kłopot.
great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly bill in advance starting tomorrow.
He's not sorry about his behavior for your sake. Now that you have money, he really wants to make sure you're not angry with him.
The electronic lock to your room has been disabled till 9 p.m. tomorrow. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you?
Do widzenia. Dobra, mamy punkt umiejętności. W co bym chciał pójść? To jest dobre pytanie. W przekonywanie chyba? Wydaje się to ciekawą opcją. I przydatną na pewno. Chociaż taka manipulacja. Konceptualizacja jest ciekawa. Ale to nic, pójdę w przekonywanie. Też na razie nie mogę internalizować żadnych myśli. Chodźmy porozmawiać z Kimem. A potem się kimnąć. Będę chciał pogadać na tarasie, tak?
Yes?
Powiedz mi jeszcze raz o sprawie.
What do you want to know?
Możemy jeszcze raz podsumować wstępne informacje?
You mean like a brief? Do you want me to brief you again?
Streścić, tak, to brzmi dobrze.
3 days ago, The RCM Emergencies Desk received a report about a security guard who was found hanged in Martinez. An anonymous caller said there was a dead body behind the Whirling in Rags hostel cafeteria. The cadaver had been there for 4 days. No one had come to investigate. During that time, the victim had been stripped of his belongings. The caller did not identify him, but used the word lynching. There is an ongoing labor dispute between the local dock workers and the logistics company Wild Pines. I was told we should approach the death as part of this dispute.
Mega czadowo, wiem już dosyć.
Okay then. Was there anything else you wanted to know?
No dobrze, skoro obejrzeliśmy już miejsce zbrodni, chciałbym posłuchać o tym przeciąganiu liny.
What's there to say? It's just stupidity.
Jaka głupota.
The cop kind. Our precincts can't decide if Martinez is part of Jamrock or the Industrial Harbor. Yours or mine, as if we somehow own parts of the city. Typical street gang mentality. So we've let the Union make a mockery of law enforcement here. And now it's come to its natural conclusion.
Aha, czyli to starcie o to, kto rządzi w Martinez.
Well, sort of. It's less a matter of who gets to police Martinez than who has to. It's an orphan district, in other words. I think the dispatch desk just told both our stations about the hanging. There was quite a brouhaha at the 57th, I can tell you that. Time to settle it, they said. Cop off. But I assure you, I am not their finest or toughest, with 102 cases solved. What I am is least interested in a pissing competition.
So he volunteered to represent the 57th, but not out of competitiveness. On the contrary.
Ciekawe, co to o mnie mówi, że przysłał mnie mój komisariat. Muszą być wróżbitą apokaliptycznym omenem przysłanym przez moich ludzi. Wiesz, jakie niosą przesłanie?
No.
Dojdzie do rozlewu krwi na niewyobrażalną skalę, niewyobrażalną.
Oh no, it's very imaginable. We fail to place responsibility for the hanging. The harbor company see the situation is out of control, so they bring in private military, maybe a gunship. The Union responds in strength, automatic fire. Local law enforcement solving one little homicide decides nothing. Not solving it can have real and calculable effects. Things can always get worse. Matter of fact, augury, we should move.
A więc zgłosiłeś się, żeby to popsuć.
Yes. I'm an unrepentant spoilsport.
Co jest takiego wyjątkowego w Martinez?
Martinez? Nothing. It's just a puddle at the end of some drain pipe. No one cares about this place. They care about sports. Most of our colleagues don't even know how to get here. North of the interchange doesn't exist.
A tremble comes over you. Another after effect of ethanol poisoning, perhaps. Feels like leaves do when they rustle in the breeze, somewhere far away, below the turbine. The 41st and the 57th. The lieutenant was right. It's not about who gets what's north. It's about who doesn't.
Dobra, dość już o tej rywalizacji, powiedz mi coś innego.
Yes, it's a wholly pointless matter. Forget I ever mentioned it.
Czyli skończyłem to zdanie.
He's actually glad it's addressed now.
Czy mogę jakkolwiek zbustować logikę? Na razie wejdźmy. To na pewno nie pomaga. Ale czy nie mam żadnych minusów? Nie. No nic, spróbujmy. 28% szans.
Because you're the best qualified. No, that doesn't seem right.
Nie, to ma sens. Jestem wyjątkowo dobrze wykwalifikowany.
If you're so well qualified, why can't you remember why you were sent? Anyway, don't keep the lieutenant waiting.
Chciałbym porozmawiać o tobie.
What about me?
Nie, to mam przeklikane.
Let-
Dobra, nieważne, ale pytanie, jak tu odprawę odpalić, bo jest czasowa. Jest po 22. Jak mogę zakończyć dzień?
This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Dobranoc, poruczniku.
Just a moment. You had some questions earlier. I
A,
believe.
dobra, tak.
And besides, we should discuss our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
Dobrze, chodźmy. Mógłbym od tego zacząć.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then,
Where shall we begin? We should talk about the investigation, first and foremost. But I also remember you wanting to discuss the RCM?
Nie wiedziałem, że palisz, Kim.
I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
Papieros to świetny pomysł. Też chyba sobie jednak zapalę. Jak ty nagle stałeś się taki czadowy, Kim?
You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy.
Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot of focus. It would be easier to simply quit.
Papieros to świetny pomysł. Też chyba sobie jednego zapalę.
You're cold, detective. Again, I only have exactly one every night.
No dobrze, wróćmy do omówienia.
Yes. It's been a long and eventful day.
Jak twoim zdaniem dzisiaj poszło?
Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state, but we did it. Our inspection could have been more thorough, as it always can, but we have some leads we can follow up on. Then you shot him in the chest, which wasn't ideal, and we still have to get him down from the tree.
Wciąż nie mogę wierzyć, że chybiłem.
Being sober tends to help with precision. But moving on to the interviews, we weren't able to find the union leader, Everard Clare, much less interview him. So that's on the to-do list for tomorrow. We tried to interview the Wild Palms rep, but she asked us to do something for her first. Fine, so be it. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. We have to get her to talk to us. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Prison 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
Aha, czyli coś nas jeszcze po prostu trzyma. Po prostu nie lubię marnować czasu, mój umysł jest szybki, ciało musi nadążyć.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age. And in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange.
Aha.
Thank you for the compliment. We could manage it even in wooden clogs. There are uncanny running reservoirs in this body. God
Dobra.
knows why.
Jakie mam możliwości? More znaczy się.
They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule.
1000? Czemu nie więcej?
The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the economic structure of Revachol.
Czy takich uprawnień nie jest łatwo nadużywać?
Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM.
Rozumiem, co jeszcze możemy?
We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station cold sleep. It prevents confusion and overcrowding.
Zaraz, a skąd pewność, że aresztowana osoba się pojawi?
You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up.
When power calls you, you come. But power itself is a fragile trick of perception.
Rozumiem, a jeśli ktoś stawia opór?
As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power.
Czekaj, czyli gdybym zabił kogoś na służbie?
You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best.
Co się dzieje z ludźmi, których skażemy?
We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couron and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them.
Jak to ustal te wszystkie zasady?
The coalition government and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM.
Powiedzmy, że rząd koalicyjny.
It's probably more honest, yes. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it.
Moral intern? Co to jest?
The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed.
A gdybym nie wiedział, to jak byś ich opisał?
They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world.
W co oni wierzą?
What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats.
Jaki jest ich symbol?
Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something ominous. Something even a little feminine, but in a strict manner.
Kim była Dolores Day?
A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me.
For you, she is something painful, though it's hard to say why.
Co o nich sądzisz?
The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen.
It is more than that. There's some kind of affection in him.
Jesteś fanem moral internu?
Yes, I did, when I was younger. In my 20s, I considered myself a moralist. A blue forget-me-not, a piece of the sky. They're not all that bad. But the years have changed that. I don't know what I believe in now. No, I believe in the RCM. That's enough for me.
Mam swoje zdanie na temat, na temat moral internu.
Do you?
Zrobili tu paskudną robotę. Widziałeś to miejsce? To żaden humanizm.
We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simply vigilantes.
Jak dla mnie bycie mścicielem jest właściwie w porządku.
Then you will adore Martinez. For many of these people, the Union especially, vigilantes is precisely what we are. Personally, I don't enjoy it much.
The lights of the orphan district are reflected in his glasses, the red and golden orbs of the motorway sliding like pearls on a string from east to west as Revachol commutes back to the suburbs. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Monday is over.
Nic nie mów, po prostu wpatruj się w noc.
The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag. This soldier is the highlight of the day for me, he thinks. This little stick right here.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different inland, in Jamrock and the GRIH.
Czemu tak jest?
It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. It's like I told you, this place is an orphan, fallen between the cracks.
A, w Jamrock i PPWR?
We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate.
Night. Captain Ptolemy Price steps into the yard. A piebald horse waits by the motor carriage, chewing oats out of an oat bag. Seagulls fly overhead. The sky is black. Captain Price wears a black suit and a standard patrol coat as he mounts the horse to head home. Rows of houses on either side, hunching over the sidewalks, and Precinct 41 with its dome roof growing distant. Around him, the streets are silent. A kid on the corner waves at the captain as he takes the turn on Petition and Main. The horse neighs. The captain nods back. Thanks, kid, he thinks. He's grateful.
Mam nadzieję, że nasze śledztwo pomoże poprawić sytuację w okolicy, przyniesie choć odrobinę dobrego.
Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes.
Dziękuję za to.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
Dobra. O dziwo, nawet nieświadomie kilka questów udało się rozwiązać. Co by tu rozwinąć? Empatię? Władczość? Nie, władczość mi nie pasuje. Kultura policyjna też nie do końca. Wewnętrzne imperium. W sumie. Dlaczego by nie? Muszę garnąć mapę. Nie wiem dlaczego czasami się wyświetla, czasami nie. Zobaczenie rano, tak.
The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful.
Wpełznij pod pościel. Zakończyliśmy
The
pierwszy
sheets
dzień.
feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out and finally close your eyes. And then sleep doesn't come.
Dlaczego?
Maybe it's the bed's fault.
Sprawdź poduszkę.
Its synthetic filling has separated into hard lumps. The pillowcase smells oddly.
Sprawdź koc.
It barely covers your toes, stretching over your soft belly. This is your body here, intimate and warm, breathing. Under your thrumming eyelids, you see a dizzying array of colors. You won't get off this carousel quite so easily.
Przewróć się na drugi bok.
It's a little better. Colors, scenes, and half-formed phrases still litter your mind. Part of you is still trying to solve the case, isn't it?
Kto go zabił? Kto?
Something to do with... What was it that the lieutenant said? Union? And it's gone again. Your thoughts lost between the slowing brain waves.
Dość już myśli. Czas zasnąć.
Your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep and images start forming.
Pijackie wizje? Ja mogę chodzić. Rozumiem, że mogą wejść tylko na plac, tak? Mgła mnie ogranicza. Miło, tak jak nie ma kuna. Te światła, jak z kuli dyskotekowej, która tu wisi de facto, to my tu wisimy.
Do you remember the scent of your childhood?
Urodziłem się w szpitalu, w którym ludzie zazwyczaj umierają.
You're not kidding anyone, Harry. You don't remember shit. Tell me, do you remember your wife's hand on your face?
Zostałem porzucony.
That's right, funky baby. And you just stood there. One hand on the bottle and the other on your dick. Watching her go. Let it all be dragged away from you. Tell me, where are your friends? Human beings have friends, Harry boy. Where the hell are yours?
Mogą to wszystko odzyskać.
No, it's gone. 3 times gone and never coming back. You failed. You failed me. You failed Elysium.
Czym jest Elysium?
Everything. The Pale and the Isolas. On the surface. The outer magnetosphere. Burning, furious truth. 8,000 years of written history. You really dropped the ball, Harry. 4.6 billion people. And you failed every single one of them. You really fucked up.
Rozmawiałem już z tobą.
No, Harry. You were just talking to yourself. That's all you ever do. Even in your dreams. And the act is wearing thin. The spots of the disco ball fade around you. You'll be back in those cold snakeskins in no time, sweating up the bed. Stinky boy.
Mogą się z tego wygrzebać.
You're not coming back from shit, thrashing around in that high conductivity state of yours, bumping into things and acting like a clown. Who are you kidding?
Próbuję rozwiązać tę sprawę.
You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now. Jumbled up garbage. The pictures are gone. The bed rises to meet you. A thin, sleep-like state. More glass than velvet, grinding in your head.
So something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad, this dry, this unnourishing. There's something wrong with your thoughts. Some kind of new type of hangover.
Boże, jest jakiś inny rodzaj?
Oh yes, party boy, and it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you saw. Here it comes too. So soon already. A silent alarm goes off in your head like clockwork. Barely let you sleep at all. Time to get those clothes on, Harry. Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Okej, to było dziwne. Przywrócę morale. Czyli sen mnie regeneruje. No, to logiczne.
Good going, buddy.
Miałem właśnie absolutnie przepiękny sen, podnoszący na duchu, uzdrawiający.
Really? Because you feel even worse this morning than you did last night.
Co się ze mną dzieje do cholery?
You mean, why are you so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? You can't be a detective like this. Detectives need to be able to think.
Nie o to chodzi. Naprawdę czuję się świetnie.
That's not really true. Your heart has finally pumped all the speed out of your system, Buster. Time to get some more. Don't do that. Stay strong. The hangover will wear off. You don't need to keep doing this to yourself.
Zaraz, ale co to jest speed?
Speed is a potent central nervous system stimulant. It kept you propped up all day yesterday, despite your debilitating hangover. How else did you think you even got up from this floor? You got up from this floor because of a holy vow you made 16 years ago. With me. To wake up exactly 7:30 every morning until the day you die. Don't be silly. There was no vow. You were high on speed. That was the only reason you got up. You can't detect without it. It's that simple.
Nie, wytrzymam. Nie zacznę teraz szukać speedu.
Are you sure? Ready to live as this pathetic shell of yourself for days? Basically, a week. Let's be honest, 2 weeks. Maybe 3. You won't make it. Half the town will be dead by then. You will be fired.
To kłamstwo, dam radę bez speedu. Połowa miasta wcale nie zginie.
Suit yourself, slow, sad shellman. See how you do without your spark.
Czyli byliśmy na furani. Kto się mógł tego spodziewać? Czy ja zebrałem wszystkie buteleczki z pokoju? Come on. Dobrze, że Kuno nie przyszedł mnie zabić. Myślałem, że to pokój Kima. dobry, moi drodzy. Dzień dobry. Dzień dobry, dobry wieczór w sumie. Myślę, że tutaj skończymy. Jest to dobry moment, żeby zakończyć w tym tygodniu. I cóż, wracam dopiero w poniedziałek. Wow. Coś jest nie tak z OBS-em. Będę musiał go chyba przeinstalować. Albo to już ta kamerka robi problemy. W każdym razie na tym dzisiaj skończymy. I wrócimy do tego w poniedziałek. Akurat zakończyliśmy dzień w grze. Więc powinno być też spoko. Trzymajcie się wszyscy, trzymaj się Mniusie. Udanego weekendu i uważajcie na siebie. Do zobaczenia. Hej!